was just talking to Jake's dad last night, and here's the thing about our team and those people, and how we are going to continue to serve in honor of Jake. Is, his dad told me, if I had told Jake he was going to get shot the next day, he still would have went to work, because that's how committed he was. That's how purposeful he was. Well, Jake was just really just a tremendous individual, and he was a kid who wanted to do this type of job. He wanted to have a purpose in his life, and that shows even in his prior military experience. He'd been deployed on tours of duty, including Afghanistan, so in harm's way protecting our country. And when he got done with his guard service, he was looking for something to continue that service. And I remember doing the initial sit-down interview with him, and we always asked the why do you want to join, and just like he said in his video as he was going through the academy, he didn't just want to sit at home. He just didn't want an office job. He wanted a job that had meaning and purpose behind it, and this was it. This is a unusual circumstance. It's a complete unprovoked attack on law enforcement and our firefighters, actually, and so why? And to what end? And was there any other legs to this? We don't know those answers, and that's what really BCI and the FBI are working on, and we have to give them the time to do that. There's a lot of pieces to doing that type of an analysis and investigation.
It's the most tragic of all situations. A man serving this community in blue, and others standing right alongside him who have been wounded critically. It's just everything happening here that we've seen happen across the nation, and it came home. Now, today on News and Views, we're going to bring you people that were in the heart and soul of this, that are leaders of the individuals that we need to respect, to represent. And so we're going to do that. We're going to get a chance to visit with Police Chief Dave Zibolski in just a second. Steve Dirkson's going to join us, Chief of the Fargo Firefighters, and their group. You're going to be awful impressed with what their group did as well. We're going to get a chance to visit with Jesse Johnner, Cass County Sheriff, and of course, I asked Tyler Axness, who does Afternoons Live here, to join me. Tyler, good to have you.
Oh, Joel, I wish I could say it was good to be here, but as you said, this is one of those tough moments in this community to really unpack what happened and still digest and try to understand how here.
Let's bring the chief in. Chief Zibolski, we have to begin this way. Our sympathies, our thoughts, our prayers. I'm speaking for everybody listening. Everybody listening when they say that they just want to convey that to you, that everything they can do, anything they can do to help, they will.
Well, we really appreciate that, Joel. Your condolences, your thoughts, your prayers, and that of our community mean a lot to our department members right now. I think this is just a tremendously tragic time for all of us, and I think their ability to see that support in the community really, really helps them as we try and move forward here.
Just a little bit of background, folks. At 3:40 or 2:43, there was a call for an assistance at a crash site, not emergent. Bloody noise, that type of thing. 3:46, announcement of a critical incident at the 25th Street and 13th Avenue. In other words, folks, it was right across the street from where I'm at. That's exactly where it was. Right across the street from where I'm at, maybe a little bit to the north. Then, at 4:25, the announcement comes out so that the community's tension can go from a peak down to the announcement of no threat to the public announcement. Of course, what happened in between all of that is the tragedy that we're talking about. Chief Zibolski, describe to people who Officer Wallin was.
Well, Jake was just really just a tremendous individual, and he was a kid who wanted to do this type of job. He wanted to have a purpose in his life, and that shows even in his prior military experience. He'd been deployed on tours of duty, including Afghanistan, so in harm's way protecting our country. And when he got done with his guard service, he was looking for something to continue that service. And I remember doing the initial sit-down interview with him, and we always asked the why do you want to join, and just like he said in his video as he was going through the academy, he didn't just want to sit at home. He just didn't want an office job. He wanted a job that had meaning and purpose behind it, and this was it.
And if you want to watch that video, I would beg of you to do just that. The video is available if you go to KFGO.com. If you go to the Fargo page, if you go to any of their social media, for example, you're going to find that video. And Tyler, that video was
moving.
touching.
Yeah, very moving, very well put together. A tribute to Officer Wallin. I watched it on repeat, as many did. People consumed because they want to know more about the stellar staff that the Fargo PD has. Losing one, I do want to know if there's any update on the status of the other two officers that have been involved in this.
They're still both hospitalized in what we would call critical stable condition. We're continuing to work with the families and keep track of them, but we don't have any new medical updates that we're in a position to provide at this time.
And North Dakota is such a small community. It takes about 2 steps till you get to, I know them or I know a relative of them. We're talking about Officer Andrew Dotas, and we're talking about Officer Tyler Hawes. And so these individuals critically injured, but stable, which is something we all were hoping to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. No, we're extremely relieved, but both of these individuals, also great guys, great cops, and Tyler was a classmate of Jake. I mean, there's just so many connections to this, and they've got some physical recuperation and struggles that are in front of them above and beyond, getting out of a critical status and starting to move forward. But we're got our thoughts and prayers with them as well. They've got tremendous support again with our department, their families, and the community. So we'll keep supporting that effort and really hope to see them back and on their feet as soon as possible.
Your comment that they've got some healing to do, both physical and mental, is that true of the whole force?
Well, I think definitely, I think the mental piece, it's so difficult. It's hard for everyone, and we've got people at different levels. In fact, before I came here this morning, I went out and addressed our new academy group. We've got 10 folks out there in our academy right now that are in about a month set to graduate and hit the bricks, as well as trainees in a very similar position to where Jake was not too long ago. And so I thought it was really important to sit down and have some face-to-face with them and help walk them through some of this situation and let them know about our resources and how they can ultimately work through this and be in a position to step forward and provide public service.
I've had the privilege of, since his inception as Fargo Police Chief, getting to know Chief Zibolski and interview him a number of times, ladies and gentlemen. And the last thing I ever wanted to do was see him sit next to me in this studio with a black band across his badge. And if you go to KFGO.com, you're going to see just exactly that. Tyler, I know you have more questions as well.
Well, and Chief, I have some questions regarding the incident itself. What happened on Saturday during the press conference, and you can correct me if I misheard, but the suspect was not involved in the initial car accident. Is that accurate?
Well, I'm not able to say that with certainty, and that's, I think at the press conference I said we don't think, but the investigation that's being conducted by the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation and the FBI will really determine a lot of things that we just don't know right now. Without providing any more information, I have to leave it at, I don't think he was involved in the accident. There's certain things that we just need to figure out before we can say more, I think. And those would be the entities that at some point would provide some more public information. But right now it's important that they're allowed to kind of dig into this and figure out what was all involved.
Was it a setup?
Well, again, I can't say for sure if it was a setup, but it certainly was an unprovoked attack on our officers. The whys and the whats we don't know, but I think without any doubt, this was a situation that, for whatever reason, this individual decided to randomly attack our officers with gunfire.
How much information has your staff been able to pull out since the event? It was Friday. We're sitting here on Monday. I know your staff, as professional as they are, they called us to get the video, our security video. I'm assuming they did that same thing with Big Top Bingo, which probably would have been an even better angle. I mean, how much information have you been able to pull together?
Well, we've got, some basic information. And again, all of the investigative pieces have been turned over. We know that Officer Zach Robinson was also involved in this and ultimately, shot and killed this suspect, preventing again, others from getting harmed and allowing that medical attention to go to Andy and Tyler and Jake as quick as possible. This affects him as well. And so we don't have a lot of details. We do have a liaison working with BCI, but again, we're not getting all the information, and there's obvious reasons for that. So we know a little bit more than we did on Friday, but there's really nothing more that we can talk to the public about at this juncture.
That might be the answer to the question that I have, because it wasn't long after when it was all clear that there was no threat remaining to the public, Chief, that it was announced that there was about to be a search conducted at an apartment further south here. And the way I understand is we were waiting on a federal warrant to come to conduct that search. So the question I have is how this escalated up to the FBI being involved here.
Well, I think a couple of things, and again, I don't have all the details, but I know that just from my past experience, anytime an officer's killed in the line of duty, the FBI and other federal entities always jump in and are there to provide any possible assistance that they can provide. And I think as this investigation continued, and again, when we're talking about the guns, the firearm involved in this particular situation, that also is an appropriate federal investigation, again, depending on all of the details that we don't know. Why did this person do it? That kind of stuff.
Is there any indication, Chief, that the feds were watching him?
Not that I'm aware of at all, no.
Okay. Go ahead, Tyler.
Well, and that's, the questions of the accident, of course, that led to this tragic shooting. And then was there something in the vehicle that led to the identity of, hey, we got to go search this apartment building? What led to that immediate, we're going there now?
Well, I think that's just a basic investigative step. I mean, that's, the apartment where this person lives. So in any investigation, that would be the next immediate step. And I think, again, the urgency is because of what occurred, and you've got a weapon involved. And so I think that the FBI, properly helped out. And I mean, they've been working in tandem with BCI and from the beginning here. So we appreciate their assistance.
Your officer that you lost, this has got to be one of the hardest. There's a lot of people, myself included, and I want to be clear about that want more, want it quicker, want you to hold a press conference, want this now, I get it, I understand it, that's part of it. To be in your position and to be in a position of leadership in a community where you've lost a young man so willing to serve, how hard is that phone call to make? Because that family you're going to reach out to is going to want to hear from you, and you're going to have to call. I mean, I can't possibly imagine a worse job.
Yeah, it is really about one of the toughest things that you have to do in a position like this. And in this case too, the face-to-face contact is what we really strive for, to be able to just talk to someone face-to-face and something of this nature. And families in this instance lived out of state even, and so just locating them and getting them notified, and we had some really great support from Minnesota State Patrol and our Minnesota partners in doing that piece so that we could get them at least notified, get them up here to Fargo, and have the ability to sit down and face-to-face walk them through this. And it is tough, but it is also a necessary responsibility for our leadership team.
Officer Wallin is just 23 years old. I mean, you come in here all the time and you look at me and say, getting new, quality, talented people ready to serve and everything that goes into it and the passion that comes. I mean, he was the poster child of the type of individual you were trying to recruit and bring into this community.
Right.
I mean, that when you say the mental situation for the police force, if you're one of your veterans, he's the guy that puts a bounce in your step. Mm-hmm. He's the guy you're looking forward to training.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And, I was just talking to Jake's dad last night, and here's the thing about our team and those people and how we're going to continue to serve in honor of Jake is, his dad told me, if I'd have told Jake he was going to get shot the next day, he still would have went to work, because that's how committed he was. That's how purposeful he was. And I think that's just a tribute to the type of character and integrity that he has. And then in talking to the new officers today, too, we had that same discussion. I'm like, how we honor Jake? We move forward and we serve in his honor.
We're going to take a little break. And folks, I'm not going to lie to you. We're not going to open this up to questions for the public. We're not. You're hearing what he's saying. He can tell you what he can tell. And so to try to put him in a position, or even, quite frankly, I'm going to just say this, put him in a position where we're going to get critical about any of this, it's not going to happen today on News and Views. It's not. This is a department that's been punch gut. And you know what we're going to do? We're going to make sure the information that the chief wants to get out gets out. Stick around. More coming your way right here on News and Views. Tyler, I'm going to put some names out there. Mohammed Barakat, am I pronouncing that right?
That's the way I've led to believe, yes.
He's the individual that was taken down. The one individual, and we're sitting here visiting with Fargo Police Chief David Zibolski, who lost one of his own in that shootout, that murder by Mr. Barakat. There was an officer. The officer that ended up and put an end to this, what was going on, named Zachary Robinson. Now, the reports came out, and then visually you could see some of this. With all the courage anyone could have in the world, he walked right at him, and he put an end to this carnage. I mean, you must be very proud of him.
Well, we all are. The whole department, the community, Zach, under fire, just extreme courage, valor, responded to what he'd been trained to do. And his calmness in that situation is just incredible. And if he hadn't have acted and done everything exactly how he did it and as quickly as he could, we might not have two officers still in the hospital, because that ability to end that threat of death to others, allowed those firefighters to be in a position to get back out and provide life-saving care to our cops. And again, every second counts in a situation like this.
I just want to let you know that the word had gotten to me that BCI, the FBI, all of these different agencies are working this and handling this and holding meetings. And so I just want to repeat again, I, like everyone, want it yesterday, but this is going to take some time. The threat there's nothing else to worry about in relation to this individual, correct?
Correct. We have no threat information, and if we did, we would most certainly make the public aware. But again, the importance of this investigation and why it might take a little longer is the depth and breadth of that, because as I said at the press conference, we don't know the whys. But certainly this is a unusual circumstance. It's a complete unprovoked attack on law enforcement and our firefighters, actually. And so why? And to what end? And was there any other legs to this? We don't know those answers. And that's what really BCI and the FBI are working on. And we have to give them the time to do that. There's a lot of pieces to doing that type of an analysis and investigation.
I have about 20 seconds before I know you have to go. Speak to the individuals around the shooting scene, the citizens.
Yeah, I mean, here you've got an unwitting citizen who really just moved to town 3 weeks ago, and terrible for her to have been in that position and be struck by gunfire as well. And thankfully, she's surviving and will recuperate.
Chief, we'll visit more.
Thanks, Joel.
Again, our condolences.